One of the most debated films, at least on social media, especially since its cast announcement, has been that of the Archies directed by Zoya Akhtar. The debate has largely ranged from the dream launch for products of nepotism, the fantastical aesthetic of the film, and most importantly, the golden question: will India relate? While we in depth have spoken about the obsession that Indian audiences have to star kids and the lopsided nature of the marketing push and PR they are showered with versus outsiders, the most important question was almost in the back burner regarding the Archies. Is it a good film or not? While all the faith was interested upon Zoya Akhtar, I was less excited and more curious about the quality of the film. Based on the evergreen Archie comics, something that I have grown up reading, passed down by my elder sibling, so the curiosity comes from there, and mind you, the section that has grown up with the comics will also be the most critical. The film is set in the 1960s in the town of Riverdale, cleverly integrated into the story as a land taken on lease by Sir John Riverdale, a Britisher who married an Indian named Sitara and fell in love with the picturesque town. Primarily consisting of the Anglo-Indian community, the film focuses on a group of 17-year-old school-going kids, primarily the iconic characters of Archie, Betty, Veronica, Reggie, Jughead, Ethel and Dilton, their interpersonal relationships in school and the clear class divide among the students. These distinct personalities find themselves at the brink of adulthood, and as some love and heartbreak follow, they are at loggerheads with those in positions of power, specifically Mr. Lodge, Veronica's father, who has aspirations to build a hotel in the middle of Green Park, a place of cultural significance for the citizens of Riverdale for decades. How the group of students combat and derail this movement towards corporatization and hollowness, the complete antithesis of community, something Riverdale is known for, forms the basic premise of the Archies. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch it on Netflix or not. Even before I start the good and underwhelming aspects, I just want to prepare you for what you are signing up for. So the film is a musical, and no, this is not the traditional sense of Bollywood movies that we are used to. This is the format of vintage classics starring John Travolta such as Grease and Saturday Night Fever, or more recently like Mamma Mia or La La Land, where the narrative in the screenplay breaks to song almost every 10 to 15 minutes. The theme of this is the quintessential Hallmark film. You know the slate of movies that release during the holidays? It's either Christmas or Valentine's Day. The movies, much like the Archie comics, are not deep. They don't intend to be, and you move on after one casual viewing. So I've told you the two essential aspects of the theme of the film you are signing up for. The good. Production design and cinematography. The Anglo-Indian community, and the more you read about their representation in the Indian community, their aesthetic and the towns in which they lived, you realize that Zoya attempts to represent the same but also by making the frames fantastical. So you've got the bubblegum inspired storybook visuals that one would imagine in a real life adaptation of Archies. Imagine it to be Zoya's idea of the Archies in India but also having the aesthetic sensibilities of Wes Anderson. This can be slightly distracting for Indian viewers because the film is almost too perfect looking. Every aspect of its frame looking like a perfect set designed to the last detail, making you wonder where the hell you could find a place like this in our country. Imagine it to be Landor but on steroids, with its old world charm and colors, and this is what you'll get. The fact that the production designer has referenced old photographs post-independence and built the structures and set from scratch is truly commendable. Standout cast members. There is a huge ensemble cast in this film, so it will be quite the laundry list to go through while speaking about everyone, but we shall do it anyway, lest someone believe that I have been paid by some faction or the other. I must say, in terms of accurately depicting a character from the comics, Ali Khan as Mr. Lodge, the rich, pompous and narcissistic industrialist, is pitch perfect. An understated actor, truly his portrayal of the patriarch who has no time for his daughter is so on point. His consistent remark of "well done" immediately took me on a trip of nostalgia. Of the young lot of actors, someone who leaves an instant impression is Vedang Raina as Reggie Mantle. Not only does he get the slick, smug and slightly overconfident exterior on point, but his diction and dialogue delivery is far superior to many of his contemporaries in the film. You will notice your eye wander towards him during the performances of the dance routines as well, having a flair in ease with steps which is lacking in some other cast members. There is a heartfelt moment that he shares with Dilton, or a disagreement that flares with his father, that really makes him shine as a performer. Mihir Arora as Jughead is another standout. The awkward and naive foodie is lovable, and Mihir plays him with a great balance. Jughead doesn't come across as a dimwit, but just a wholesome, lovable kid. I wished Moose just had more of a role, as I just love to see the tube light of a character he is, but alas. Dot as Ethel also has a spring in her step, almost instantly generating a smile from you. I must say, most of the parents of the kids are brilliant, really standing out as a community, having history together. But now, let's get to brass tacks. The underwhelming aspects. Music, choreography versus execution. One of the key components for the success of any musical from a design perspective is that it gets its song and dance on point. I consider La La Land to be flawless in this regard, and I consider Les Miserables to be a masterpiece. The Archies, however, in this department is neither here nor there. It's in this forgettable mid-category, as the only standout single is Baba Voom, where the intent of the choreography shines on screen, especially the combination of Charleston, footwork and social dancing. But the rest of the album is a big miss for me. The consistent feature that I felt, especially in the choreography executed by Suhana, Khushi and Agastya, is that it lacks the combination of ease and expressions. The more complicated the choreography, you can see it in their expressions and trying to keep up with the steps. There is an abandon very few actors possess, where the complexity of the choreography just doesn't show. This is called the flow state, and through most of the film and its dance sequences, barring Baba Voom, there is too much visible effort on the face, taking away from the mood that needs to be channelized. You notice this with the single at Veronica's house, the dinner date with Archie and Veronica at Seas, and the roller skate number with the girls. It lacks the high school feistiness and abandon, and the most criminal thing of a musical is that it's bland. And oh boy, it sure is. Another distracting part of the film is that a lot of its songs are in English. Hell, forget the songs. Most of the dialogues of the film are in English too. I mean, it's the Anglo-Indian community, so it's justified. But in my opinion, the album had far too many English songs, especially when conveying Betty's emotions. The 4 abrupt lines each time she went into a song seemed like a knockoff of Olivia Rodrigo songs more than anything else. The irony is that the highlights of the album are the Hindi songs. Slightly on the nose and preachy. Whenever the film takes itself too seriously, I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Barring a sensitive and well-performed moment with Dilton, the stakes are never high where you emotionally break down or root for someone. And when the film with its dialogues wants to be preachy, it borders on sounding like a school project, nothing more and nothing less. I mean, I am all for trees, but it can only develop so much feels within me. Whenever I think of a musical like Jaga Jasoos, it really made you invested in the father-son bond. Here, however, it's a string of PJs, and seeing 11th graders in their constant state of Conte ki party. A William Faulkner quote about the horizon being distant, the grass is greener where you water it, a preachy speech about independent India and Green Park's significance, and Dilton constantly transitioning with his symbolic one-liners. Cinema देखने से नहीं, feel करना important होता है, और हजार बार हार के एक और बार कोशिश. It all gives the vibe of primary school lessons versus a narrative that guides the story. The curious case of the main cast. Agastya, Suhana and Khushi are mostly inconsistent with their performances. It doesn't present itself to be a complete sore to the eye, neither is it anywhere close to be a knockout. Khushi has these big expressive eyes, she has this tall frame, and looks the part as Betty. She is head over heels for Archie, almost achingly so, and those eyes express the same. Where she falters is the dialogue delivery, squeaking through many of her portions, so much so that the director also cuts away from her in more than one occasion mid-dialogue. Suhana, for those who have read the comics, is a tough Veronica to buy, simply on the basis of how we remember her as. A tall, overconfident diva, Suhana is short, but packs in the sass. I don't know whether it is the Anglo-Indian community portrayal that makes the cast roll their R's, so much so that they slightly fumble with their Hindi. It will always be a mystery whether this was intentional or just their inner South Bombay being in full swing, because Vedang Raina and Mihir Arora seem to speak Hindi perfectly, but it's not the case with the 3 principal characters. Suhana really shines in an emotional moment shared with her father, but is it really impactful? So much so that producers will line up to give her roles later? I don't really think so. Agastya gets the naivety of Archie on point, but lacks the charisma and charm of a lead. I like that they made Veronica and Betty's friendship such a core focus of the three-way dynamic, but there is little to shout and rave about. You get what I'm saying, right? It's just there. It just doesn't evoke an extreme emotion from me. A soft launch for Star Kids indeed, and the brochure of sorts for producers ahead of their merits and demerits. The film is a surface level feel good Archie's card that someone gets gifted on their birthday and it occupies the shelf of your house, never for you to revisit. At the end of it, it's just meh. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the Archies. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.